Okay, so you might be wondering, with a force sensing stick such as the RealSimulator FSSB, um, is it possible to fly things that are not just fly-by-wire? And the answer is definitely. Um, Now, is it a little bit weird? Yes. Is it very different from what you would expect and from what you would have in the game, or in real life rather? Certainly. But it definitely works as well. So I've got myself trimmed into a good kind of takeoff position, as we can see at the top right there. It's actually been a hot minute since I've flown this, but I wanted to use this as an example, because a lot of people have trouble with the MI8. It does require pretty fine um, adjustments to fly properly, and so I figured it would be a good showcase of this. So I'm just going to try picking up. I'm going to take my collective a little bit up, get my wheels light, and then I'll try picking up here, just with some small adjustments. I will trim. I'll just try to be as steady as I can, just putting in small adjustments to stay stable. Now, I'm definitely not the best helicopter pilot ever, but this is about an indication of what you can do. You could definitely be more stable than this, but really this is pretty good as far as I can tell. I could do about the same on like a normal joystick. And this is just with that as my autopilot. And I'll trim again. So that's about my hover. I can do the same on just a normal joystick. I don't feel like having a force sensing joystick limits me at all, but it is just a very different experience. So I would never recommend, oh, you must get a force sensing joystick to fly helicopters, because it's not the one that I would. Like, it's not what I would recommend. It's not how you probably would fly a helicopter if you wanted to, have a setup that's geared to what you would expect, like IRL. But in a game like DCS, like I have a normal traditional joystick, but I never take it out. I just always use this one because I find, even though it is kind of weird to use, that's only kind of in concept. In practice, they both can do what you need them to do. So I'm just going to take the helicopter around. You can see the controls overlay at the top left. I can put in fairly fine adjustments with this, just small changes in the force that I'm applying. I'm going to try landing near those helicopters. Overshot that a little. We'll try going for those planes over there. Retrim a little. We'll just try taking her in. These are descent just a little. You have to be really careful in this helicopter because it does kind of get out of control if you try descending too quickly. But as you can see, this is certainly smooth enough control input wise. You're much better off precision wise with this thing than definitely any cheap joystick. And it's amazing for a fly-by-wire aircraft, but as you can see here, this thing is about the farthest you can be from fly-by-wire. And it's not bad at all to control. So that's at least my opinion on it. I'm not the best pilot by any means in this game, especially not with this helicopter. But you can certainly input precise enough to fly it no problem. So I have no issues using this somewhat non-standard stick for the helicopters in this game, and it extends totally to non-fly-by-wire aircraft as well. So that's what we'll actually do. Alrighty, and here we are in the F-14. So this is about the farthest from fly-by-wire you can get in terms of what you'd normally fly in DCS. It's hard for a lot of people to control, but I fly exclusively now the F-14 with this RealSim stick, and I have no issues whatsoever. I am as precise as I was back when I used to use my Warbird, and I don't really have any complaints. I never feel like I want to go back to the other stick. So I'll just do air-to-air refueling. I am gonna maybe go into the wake turbulence a little. I'm not super used to air-to-air refueling this thing, but I find as long as you get yourself into a good trim state, which I will do now with the bomb wing sweep, and just some fine trim control, we should be in a pretty good state to get hooked up here. So I'll try getting lined up.
Ready, pre-contact. Return pre-contact.
I think, oh yeah, hold on. So we're just gonna wait for our buddy to finish refueling here. Is there another plane in this mission? No. So I'll let this guy get set up. I think he's got the pre-contact already. I'll line up on the right. We'll do ready pre-contact.
Ready, pre-contact. Return pre-contact.
Might want me to be a little closer.
Ready, pre-contact. Cleared contact.
There we are. Now, as I am by no means an expert helicopter pilot in this game, I am by no means an expert air-to-air refueler, so this may take me a little bit, but the point I want to drive home here is that I am by no means any worse with the RealSim stick than I am with a normal stick, and actually I find, generally at least, this gives me more precision, but
Little right.
there we are.
Plugged and taking fuel.
So I'll just try being stable here. Give myself a little bit of up trim. There we are. And I've got the controls overlay on, but I want to...
Fuel 9,000.
Thanks, Jester. I want to drive home that I actually don't use any curves in any module that I fly. So earlier with the MI8 there, that was 0 curves. Right now with the F-14, this is 0 curves. That's a point I want to drive home. I am precise enough with 0 curves, full linearity, that I'm able to formation fly,
Fuel 10,000.
I'm able to hover, I'm able to do whatever I need to do in DCS with a force sensing stick. And that's what I found with my old Warbird as well, from Verpal. I found it was more than precise enough to do whatever I needed to do without curves. And to compare this precision-wise with one of the offerings from Verpal that I have experience with, I don't want to compare to something I don't have experience with. There's no difference in terms of what can be done. It's just a very different feeling. But that's kind of what this is all about. It's a different way to control your aircraft. And right now I'm going to probably break off because of throttle.
12,000.
No, we're okay. But the stick is 100% good enough for what I'm trying to do. There we are.
Fuel Fuel 13,000. Fuel 14,000.
Yeah, I'm just concentrating as much as I can now to be stable. My throttle input is definitely the weak link here. I've got to be more stable and a bit more controlled with that. But as far as my use of the stick here, I'm not having any problems at all.
Fuel 15,000.
Actually, I just realized, so I'm actually still in the mode that I had for the helicopters.
Fuel 16,000.
I purposefully make the stick a little bit more sensitive when I'm flying the helicopters, just so I can easily put in inputs when I need to. But I just switched it back to the normal mode for the planes, and you can see now my movements are a lot more sensitive, and I'm actually a bit more stable now.
Fuel 17,000.
So the ring around the trim hat, you can actually adjust it to basically control different profiles that you can set up in the software. And the default one that I'm now on is, I think it's 18 pounds of pressure for full deflection.
Fuel 18,000.
So with these very fine movements you can see on the controls indicator, I am barely putting in anything when I'm putting in these fine movements. And oh, my throttle letting me down a little. That's my skill, not my throttle itself. As you can see, at least stick control wise, I am more than stable enough to fly this F-14.
19,000.
And this F-14 is obviously not fly-by-wire, right? I'm just controlling the stick directly with a force sensing stick. And right here I am very stable.
Fuel 20,000.
And there you are. And of course I can
Alright, we're topped off.
pull maneuvers and such. I can do whatever I really need to do. And I never find that this force sensing stick is letting me down. I never find that I wish I should have, my other stick out. I never feel like I need to pack it up and switch it to something else. Because although it is different, it does what it needs to do. And no plane in this game is weird enough with the force sensing stick, at least in my opinion, to make me want to get my other one out. So that's just my opinion. I don't ever take out my old stick to replace this one for something. Even flying helicopters, even flying these very manual planes, I don't find it's something I need to do. I find this is more than good enough with a little bit of practice. People will absolutely have different opinions from me on this. There will be people who have a center stick set up so that they can have the best of both worlds. But at least in my very humble opinion, this is more than good enough for every damn plane in this game with a bit of practice. So I hope that outlook on things have been a little bit useful. I feel kind of obligated to at least put my opinion out there because I don't know how many people actually have one of these damn things, and I know that WinWing has just made one, though you can't really find any reviews. So for people that are thinking about getting a force sensing stick, people who are in the market for that, because it is very, very cool and I like it a lot, it is very different. And DCS has a lot of planes, not just fly-by-wire ones. And it's useful to know that when you're not in a plane that maybe is best suited for this, you still have a lot of control. And at the end of the day, it's just a joystick input. And looking in the controls indicator here, I can be very, very, very precise with what I input in there. And I never find that I'm at a disadvantage using something like this over a traditional joystick. So I hope this ramble has been useful. And if you have any comments, I'll try to answer them. But overall, I've had this thing for at least a year, and I've been very happy with it, using it with every single module in this game. Thanks so much, and have a good one.